Indicophora viscosa. So that is two based on Cotyledon number, and the next one is come based on soil pH according to the pH group. So preference, that is three type of categories are come in that. The first one, acidophile, like is acidic class of the soil. So is that the acid weeds, and generally that Rumex acetosola. And in the basophiles, means some saline condition or lightly alkaline soil conditions. So that are weeds, Taraxacum stricta. And neutrophile means neutral soil, and that is very regular soil which is for which is required for the cultivation. So weeds of neutral soil is that Acalypha indica and many more. So that is according to the based on soil pH. Now the next is according to the based on origin. So as per the origin, that is also classified, that is a 9th number. According to the based of origin, the one is that indigenous weeds, and second is which introduced or exotic weeds. So indigenous weeds means which is the native weeds of the country and coming under this group, and most of the weeds are indigenous. Example is given that Acalypha indica and Abutilon indica. So that is a native of India. That's why it's an indigenous weed. And second is the introduced or exotic weeds. So these are the weeds introduced from the other countries. These weeds are normally troublesome and control becomes difficult. That is not native of India. That is introduced from the other countries. So as an example given that Parthenium, Histophorus, and Phalaris minor, and Acanthospermum hispidum. So that are weeds, exotic weeds. And now the next classification based on that their nature, specificity and nature. Based on their nature on specificity. So beside the various classes of weeds, a few other deserves special attention due to their specificity. They are like as poisonous weeds, parasitic weeds, and aquatic weeds. These are the also a special category of the weeds. So let's discuss one by one also based on the nature on specificity. The poisonous weed, and the poisonous weeds cause ailment on livestock resulting in death and cause great loss. These weeds are harvested along with fodder or grass and fed to cattle or grazing. The cattle consumes these poisonous plant. So that's example is Datura fastuosa and Datura stromonia and Datura mittel are poisonous to animal and human beings. The berries of Withania somnifera and seeds of Abrus percatorius are poisonous. The next group is that parasitic weeds. So the parasitic weeds are either total or partial, which means the weeds that depend completely on the host plant are termed as total parasites, while the weeds that partially depend on host plant for minerals and capable for preparing its food from the green leaves are called as partial parasites. So those parasites that attack roots are termed as root parasite, and those which attack shoot of other plants are called as stem parasite. The typically examples of different parasitic weeds are, one is the total root parasite, partial root parasite, and total stem parasite and partial stem parasite. Okay, so as per example, the total root parasite is given that Orobanchi Chernua on tobacco, and partial root parasites, so Striga lutea on sugarcane and sorghum, and total stem parasite Cuscuta chinensis on lucerne and onion, and the partial or semi stem parasite Escytha filiformis on orange trees, and Lorenthus longiflorus on mango and other tree species. So is there the four types of parasitic weeds: total root, semi-root, total stem, semi-stem parasite. So you can also notice that or remember with that techniques of total stem parasite and total root parasite with together, and after that semi-stem parasite and semi-root parasite. So that is a very simple, the form COLS. So you have to remember that in your mind, COLS, coals, that is started from that total stem. So total stem, total root with together CO, Cuscuta and Orobanchi. And next, semi-stem and semi-root. So Lorenthus, L, and semi-root striga, COLS. That is very simplest form to remember always parasitic weed, because there is a very important category, parasitic weeds. Third one is special category, aquatic weeds, unwanted plants which grow in water and complete at least a part of their life cycle in water are called as aquatic weeds. They are further grouped into four categories as submerged, immersed, and marginal and floating weeds. So let's discuss one by one. The first is category submerged weed. These weeds are mostly vascular plants that produce all or most of their vegetative growth beneath the water surface, having two roots, stem and leaves. As an example, the Utricularia stellaris and Ceratophyllum demersum. And the second one category is immersed weed. Immersed weed, these plants are rooted in the bottom mud with aerial stem and leaves at or above the water surface. The leaves are broad in many plants and sometimes like grasses. These leaves do not rise and fall with water level as in the case of floating weeds. As an example is here Nelumbium, speciosum, and Jesua repens. So that is two example is given here as an aquatic weeds. The third one, marginal weeds. So most of these plants are immersed weeds that can grow in moist shoreline areas with a depth of 60 to 90 centimeter of water, and these weeds vary in size, shape, and habitat. The important genera that come under this group are like as Typha polygonum and Cephalanthus, Scirpus, etc. So these are the three submerged, immersed, and marginal weeds. One, floating weeds. So these weeds have leaves that float on water surface either singly or in cluster. Some weeds are free floating and some rooted at the mud bottom, and the leaves rise and fall as the water level increases or decreases. So as an example given here, Ecornia crassips and Pistia stratiodes, Salvinia, and Nymphia pubescens. So these are the floating weeds. And then our next 11th number of classification based on nature of stem, based off